Hi all my book fans, because you are a fan of reading, a fan of books, and you're looking for inspiration and maybe looking for some new reads or curious what other people are reading. Either way, welcome to my channel, welcome to another one of my videos, and I'm excited to just get into talking about all the books that I read in the month of July. These are some of my favorite videos to make. So much fun because then you just really get to dive into the books and get to talk about them and what you loved or didn't love about them. I think that's kind of special. I just take so much joy sitting here and getting to share a little bit of the world that I read and my thoughts and my opinions. So let's get right into it. July was an interesting month. July seems to be our busiest month, so I'm actually surprised that I was able to get as many books in as I did in the month of July, and that was a total of 8 books. Man, was it a fun journey. I loved pretty much all the books. I think most of them were anywhere between 4 and up to God tier level books. Here's to hoping that August is just as good. So the first book I started with in the month of July was Zodiac Academy, The Reckoning, and this is book 3 in the Zodiac Academy series. I am vlogging this series, so at some point you guys are going to see that video. It's going to take a bit of time for that to happen because there are 9 books in this series, and currently I'm only up to book 3. Now, I was debating on if I wanted to split the vlog up. So instead of doing one ginormous vlog of all 9 books, I have been debating on doing 3 separate videos, so like 3 video parts, and each one of them are going to have my thoughts and my opinions on those 3 books. So books 1 through 3 for the first video. The second video would be books 4 through 6, and then the third one would be 7 through 9. I don't know. So give me your guys' thoughts and opinions on what would you like to see. Do you think that it would be better just to do one big, huge vlog of all of the books, or what do you think it'd make more sense and better if they were just like smaller videos and I just do them in parts? This book was a 4.75 star read for me, not a full 5 star. It was a very good book. There was some character building in here. I feel like Darcy and Lance have gotten closer together, and there was a little bit in there where I thought Tori and Darius were getting closer too. But after the way book 2 ended, I was expecting more out of book 3 than what I got. I feel like book 3 was almost just a repeat of book 1. We get all this forward progress in book 2. We have all of these events that happened, right? And then suddenly we get to book 3 and I'm just going all the way up until the end. Okay, things happened that had me going with the class that they end up. I'm here for it 100%. They thought they were going to be one thing, and I was accepting that because I love, that I would love that too. But what it ended up being was beyond awesome, and I'm so happy for it. And think about what they become. It's like I could see why air and fire for the girls end up being kind of the biggest thing, right? And they're twins, so they kind of balance each other out. So Darcy's, yeah, she has the affinity for fire, but it's not her strongest. It's actually one of her weakest. And it's the exact opposite for Tori. Tori is stronger in fire, and her weakest element is air. So they kind of balance each other out. I love this series. Again, this was a very good book, and it had elements to it that I absolutely loved. And as long as you don't mind sitting down and reading a book that's not necessarily going to give you a big jump in the story, right? It's just gonna be kind of a little the same here and there, right? Like, if that's not going to bother you too much, I really do think you would enjoy this book. I did enjoy this book, and not once in any of the book did I can't stand this, right? Like, I wouldn't have DNF'd it anyways. I can't DNF books, like, at all, period. You know what, even if I absolutely hate a book, even if it takes me like 6 months to read the book because I'm having such a horrible time with it, I will finish it. I can't not finish a book. I have never in my life, and you guys, I'm in my 40s, and I've been reading books for a very, 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 very long time. And in all of those times, I have never once DNF'd a book. Not even once. Some of them have taken me forever to get through, and I felt like I lost days and weeks off of my life reading a book. but it's like once I've started, I can't get it out of my head, and it won't go away. It won't stop bugging me until I finish it. So anyways, I'm digressing, but this was such a good book. 4.75 stars. Absolutely loved it. I just wish that it would have had a little bit more forward story than what it ended up having. I decided I just needed to get this book out of the way, Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Now, if you've been following my channel, you've heard me talk about this. A lot of people had bought the book, excited about it, and then they read it and they one-starred it. There's a lot of one-star reviews about this book. I could see where they're coming from in a small way, but I'm exactly on the opposite spectrum. I actually gave this 3.5 stars. I was very surprised by this book, and I was very surprised by how much I ended up loving it. I'll say that there was people that made this book sound like there was no spice, and there was definitely spice in this book. Okay, the only thing I can think that maybe that they were referring to is when they read the back of this, I think people were expecting more of a 50 Shades of Grey sort of situation, and it didn't really go that way. The spice was pretty normal. Another thing I think people were talking about was the whole, like, she's in therapy for from a traumatic experience in her diving, and the therapist doesn't seem to be helping at all, doesn't even really know what diving is. It's actually Lucas who ends up healing Scarlett in the end. Honestly, that bugged people. It's like, why even have a therapist in this book if Lucas was going to be the one to heal her anyways? But coming from an adult perspective, somebody who has been through traumas, who's been through therapies, I resonated with this because honestly, it wasn't the therapy that helped me through my troubles. It was actually my husband. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, I could see why things ended up the way that they ended up. When you find somebody and you fall in love with them and they're there for you and you can open up to them in a way that you can't with anybody else. Like, that's why sometimes therapy doesn't work, because yeah, they're paid, literally paid to help you, and they have all of the college degrees and all of the knowledge to be able to help you. But if you don't trust them and open up enough to accept what it is they're trying to do, then no matter what they say, it's not going to work, right? Like, trust is a huge deal. And that's why, in a lot of times, therapy takes so long, because for a really long time, trust is what's being trying to be built. You know, my husband reminds me actually a lot of Lucas. You know, when people look at him, they see this kind of reserved, almost kind of grumpy looking man, right? But that's just the outward persona. My husband is actually freaking hilarious. He's got a sense of humor that a lot of people wouldn't even believe. I don't know how many times I've had to defend myself. They're like, how can you be married to that man? It's like, you guys do not know him. He is the sweetest, kindest, funniest, most supportive man. Like, I have been in our almost 23 years of marriage, I have been like this with my life. I want to do this. No. I want to do this. No. I want to do this. No. And he has always been there to support me. He's always like, okay, you know what? You want to try that? Go for it. You want to try that? Go for it. I'll help you. We'll get you there. Let's do it. You know, he's behind me. And then when I end up not doing that, he's not like, I told you so, or I knew that wasn't going to work, or I knew you were going to give up. You know, he's just so supportive. And he's like, okay, well, that didn't work. Let's try something else, right? I mean, he's so supportive and so loving and so caring. I absolutely loved the deep diving facts in here. I mean, yeah, there was romance, but you know what? There's a good chunk in this book where she isn't even with Lucas. They're like separated for a while, right? And the story just focuses on Scarlett, her healing, and focuses on her diving. And I got a lot of cool information about the diving that I found quite interesting. I really enjoyed reading this book, and I felt like I came away learning new things. Am I going to want to be a diver? No. I don't like heights. I'm sorry. I don't. No. I'd get up on that diving board, and you ain't getting me off of there. No. When I say I'm afraid of heights, guys, a ladder. By the time I'm on the third rung of a ladder, I am death gripping it. This is too high. And my husband's just like, You're not even that far off the ground. So there's no way I would dive. Surprise, surprise, surprise. This was actually a good book for me. I enjoyed it. So I felt like I was on a roll by this point. I had finished reading Deep End, which was the book that I was afraid of the most and kind of why I wanted to get it out of the way. So then after that, I was just like, next, please. And this book I was really excited about because everybody was hyping it up, and that was The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So for me, this book was a 5-star. So good, so good. Not God tier, but definitely 5-star. So good. Absolutely loved it. The only reason why it wasn't God tier for me, to be honest, was the predictability of this book for me. I had the entire book predicted before it even finished. I mean, there were some events that happened at the very end that, honestly, I kind of saw coming. Like, they were obvious. You could see the signs if you looked. But it did leave me guessing a little bit when it came to a certain person and a certain event at the end of the book. Like, I would start thinking, you know, something's up. And then, you know, something would happen and you go, oh, okay, well, you know, never mind. You know, and this could have been a purposeful intention by the author. She might have purposely left these nuggets trying to lead us there, but then take us away thinking, you know, and then put us back in there in those thoughts and then take them away again. I mean, she might have done that on purpose. And in which case, if she did, wow, all I have to say is this person knows how to write to an audience. But yeah, it was good. I am definitely on the bandwagon with Loving the Gargoyle. I bawled when I heard about the gargoyle story. Like, I wanted to hug that gargoyle and keep the gargoyle with me. Like, protect the gargoyle. I felt sorry for Sybil. I really did. Now, Roderick, I really don't know. I mean, I think Roderick and Sybil were perfect for each other. I really do. But at the same time, I feel like there was this disconnect. Like, they went from hate to not hate. Like, hate to love. Just there was just no warming up slowly. It was just hate to love. And I felt just a little disconnect. It's really, it's so hard to explain because at the same time, I love them together. I think that they fit. Her personality and his personality, I think they fit so well together. Yes, please. We need more. And then I decided we're going to take a little bit of break from romantasy, and we're going to just go straight into a rom-com. I read Fall and Temptation by Lucy Score. This is book 2 in the Blue Moon series. This follows Beckett and Gianna, and I loved it. I am a mama of three amazing kids. Gianna is a single mom of 2 kids. I loved that aspect in the story. This was a 5-star read for me, guys. I ate this book up so fast. It was so good. And I loved getting to see this buttoned up lawyer, you know, pristine, clean guy fall for this yoga instructor who's kind of chaotic. She's the one that, like me, would forget her keys, forget where her sunglasses are, even though they're on top of her head. And trust me, I've done that. And my husband has sat there and seen the glasses on my head and went, I don't know, where was the last place you remember putting them? That little turd. But anyways, I loved how they came together, and she added a little bit of chaos to his life, and he added a little bit of structure to hers. I love how his kids just loved him. It brought found family to a whole new level. You got these 2 little kids who also kind of had it a little rough, and you see them also coming into this world. And the thing that I love about the Blue Moon series in and of itself is, yes, it's a series, but they each have their own little standalone love story. I love how it's just this whole town, this whole small town. Everybody's there for each other. Everybody's taking care of each other. And I absolutely love that. And because he's the mayor of Blue Moon, I also got some vibes in here that gave me more Gilmore Girl sort of vibes. Like they have these town meetings and they get together and they vote on weird stuff like, okay, this bunny is lived the longest out of all of the bunnies in Blue Moon, so we are going to give this bunny a reward, right? And that's like something you would see in Gilmore Girls. And, they'd be sitting down eating popcorn, candy and stuff while town meeting events and stuff are going down. He had his struggles. She didn't strike me as someone who had to figure it all out. Like, she seemed very much, I've got my head on my shoulders and I know what I want and I'm not afraid to go after it sort of scenario, where he was, in this story, he was the one that was more reserved, more afraid. She just needed to be patient with him and let him get there. And so I thought that was refreshing. And again, the found family, I absolutely loved all of that dynamic. I loved how we got to see Summer and Carter in this book, which obviously, Carter and Beckett are brothers. Carter is the oldest, Beckett's the middle child, and then Jax is the youngest. I got to see some more story of Summer and Carter, and it even has some events in there that you get to kind of see some exciting things for Summer and Carter, right? It wasn't just we had Summer and Carter's story, okay, goodbye, we're moving on, right? Like, they're still there, you still get to see them, and you still get to see some of the things that are going on in their lives, and so I thought that was really cool. I did love Summer and Carter. Not wait to get into book 3, which is going to be Jax and Zoe's story, and I'm really looking forward to that. I did do a 24-hour reading vlog, and me reading this book is on there, so be looking forward to that video coming soon. In the beginning of it, I picked up the wrong book. This was book 2. I accidentally picked up book 3 and started that a little bit and then realized it was Jax and Zoe's story, and I was like, oh crap, no, we're not reading about Jackson right now. So then I had to put that down. Luckily, I didn't get very far into it. It was time to take a break from romance altogether, and I wanted to read a series that I started the month before in June and read book 2. Book 1, definitely, I talked about that in my June reads. It was a bit slow. It was one of those books like what I was talking about earlier that kind of started out slow, and good thing I didn't DNF it because it got good towards the end. It just had a lot of slow world building that, again, I didn't feel was necessary, but whatever, okay? And so the book 2 is The Reluctant Queen by Sarah Beth Durst, and this is the Queens of Renthia series, and I loved this book. Interestingly enough, when I started reading it, I originally thought I was going to hate this book. Events started happening, things were being done, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute, okay? And what I'm going to share with you guys isn't going to be news because it's all on the back of this, okay? But even though I read the back of it, it didn't click. And it should have. It should have, but it didn't click. In book 1, we had the FMC, Delina, and we had the MMC, which was Ven, okay? Now, Delina and Ven were not together. They had no relationship in the romantic sense. He was her teacher. He was her champion. He trained her to become a future queen. I liked that aspect. Delina actually falls in love with somebody else, and I'm not going to say who because I don't want to give spoilers away if anybody decides to read the series, which I really hope you do. And then I was curious when I picked up book 2 to further Delina's story and to see what happened with her. And in this book, she was not the main character. She took a back seat, and we meet a new woman, Naelin. Naelin becomes the new MMC. And in this one, you know it, there's romance between Naelin and Ven. I'm saying it, yes. Yes, yes. Sorry if that's a bit of a spoiler. I had to, guys. I'm sorry, I had to. Because I absolutely love Ven, and he's been through a lot, and he deserves something. And I love Naelin. Naelin's another mom with 2 little kids, and she doesn't want to become an heir, right? And heirs in this book they're like spares. So when the queen of these realms, they control the spirits, and they keep the spirits from attacking the humans and hurting the humans. And when a queen dies, a new queen gets picked by the spirits, interestingly enough. And so Nalene ends up having these powers, and she's had them her whole life. She's been hiding them because she's afraid. Her mom had them, and her mom was killed horribly. And so she doesn't want anybody to know that she has powers. And she ends up getting found. Everybody's like unsure, right? Because normally they pick up these kids when they're young and they train them young. And she's already an adult. She has kids. She's lived a whole lifetime. Ben ends up having to train her, and he has to train her differently than he did Delena. It was really good. I was not expecting it. Again, like I said, I got into a certain amount, and I'm like, no, Delena, take me back to Delena. I want to hear Delena's story. She's the MMC. They bring in Nalene, and I'm just going, well, crap. What the heck? But I ended up loving it. I ended up loving Nalene. I guess I can relate to her because of the whole age thing and being a mom, and I relate to how she thinks in her mind, right? Like everything she does for her kids. She's always got her kids in the forefront of her mind, always worrying about her kids. And so, yeah. So this ended up being a 4-star read for me. It was so good. I would have liked a little bit of more romance, but that's just the romance person. I mean, this is not considered romance. It's fantasy, but it does have a little bit of romance in it, but not. It's not the forefront story, so you're not going to hear a lot about it. My only other complaint about this is I'm a very visual person. When people are explaining a character and stuff, I need those explanations because then I can build the person in my mind, create this person, right? And this author is really good about describing your surroundings, the forest, the trees. They'll go into great detail about the sprites that are seen, but I don't know Nalene's age. I don't know her hair color, her eye color, her height, nothing. Like, she is not described at all. The only thing that is said about her is that she has a little bit of gray in her hair. And in all honesty, that doesn't say much, in my opinion, because people are of varying ages. Graying is very hereditary. I have friends who've been dyeing their hair since they were like 19. Because they started getting gray hairs. I'm going to be 42 in like 4 days, and I don't have one gray hair. But my husband, who's 9 months younger than me, is full of salt and pepper hair. Having a little bit of gray in your hair does not even remotely tell me anything about her age. So I know how old Ven is, and clearly he doesn't see a problem being in a relationship with her. Because like he'll say other things like, oh, this person's too young, that person's too young, right? Like I'm an old soldier, things like that. So I can kind of guess that I'm thinking maybe she's between the ages of 35 and 40 possibly. No, but 40s, I don't even think it's 40. I'm going more around 35, anywhere from 35 to 38 years old is what I'm guessing. That's a wild guess because I know nothing about her. Again, I don't know what color hair she has. I don't know what color her eyes are. I don't know her height. Nothing. Throughout this entire book, she was a faceless person. If this author ever gets to this video and watches this, please, please, please give Nalene a hair color and an eye color and an identity. Give this poor woman an identity because I absolutely love her. I just hate that she's faceless and hairless. Still a very good book though. The next book I read was My Dark Desire. It wasn't like top notch. I gave this book a 3-star. I loved the story. I loved the whole Cinderella feel and vibe. And to me, it was kind of like a cross between Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast in a way, just mainly because Zachary is very reserved. He went through a very traumatic thing when he was younger, and so he can't be touched. Like, if someone touched him, he would start like freaking out, want to throw up. He has to like scrub his hands until they're like bleeding and raw wherever it is that somebody touched him. Faro comes along and she kind of heals him, and thanks to Faro, Zachary can touch people again, and he starts feeling things, and it's like he comes to life, starts to become human again. And that aspect of this book was so heart-wrenchingly amazing. Part about this book that kind of frustrated me was, although I love spice in a book, I love the spice when the spice makes sense. And I feel like in some ways this spice was just thrown in there to be spicy. Like, oh, we need a spice scene, let's just throw it in on page 150. Oh, you know, it's been a couple chapters since we've had some spice. Let's just throw in some spice here, right? It didn't resonate, and that was kind of too much for me, in my opinion. And then the other problem I had with this book is it was like the author was forgetting. The authors are L.J. Sheen and Parker S. Huntington. The authors forgot some of the information that they had in the book. Like, she knew about his traumatic experiences. She says it earlier on in the book. And she's like, oh, I read about it. I know why he is the way he is, and blah, 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 blah. And she explains all of that. And then 10 chapters later, she's looking at him. She's like, please explain to me, why are you the way that you are? I don't understand. And I'm just going, wait a minute, you just said you did. Like 10 chapters ago, you knew exactly why he was the way he was, that it was all over the newspapers, and you read about it, and so why are you suddenly confused? Earlier in the book, he says, I'm a virgin, which, okay, yeah, like, you can't touch anybody. That was kind of obvious. And then 5-6 chapters later, he's like, oh, you may not know this about me or not, but I'm a virgin. She's like, what? You're a virgin? It's like, you guys already talked about that 5 chapters ago. Where were you guys? Obviously not there. It was like the authors forgot that they talked about certain things earlier on in the book, and so they brought it up again in a different light and in a different way. And I'm just going, so that was a little weird. I loved the fairy tale aspect of it, and I did love Zachary and Faro together. They were very sweet, and they kind of healed and took care of each other, and they complemented each other very, very well. And I loved the quirky friends that she has in this book, and the found family, and how they help her move on beyond her stepmom and stepsisters and stuff like that. And so it was a good story. It was definitely a 3-star, but that was just my opinion. Then I decided to go with just a good old down-to-earth rom-com that I just needed after reading My Dark Desire. And I went with another Lucy Score book, This Is Story of My Life, and I just love those pages. Such a good book, and it was worth it. 4-star, 100%. I can always rely on Lucy Score to give me a good time and make me feel all the feels. I'm laughing, I'm crying, I'm giggling, I'm hiding my face in my pillow because I'm embarrassed for the main character. Hazel is such a, I don't know, like, she's a book author, okay, and so her life is kind of chaotic. She's had some events happen to her, and I could imagine the struggle that she's going through. It's got to be hard to write romance books when your romance life has fallen apart. And so she just randomly, she's losing her fans. She can't write a book. She's in a writer's block. She's got agents breathing down her neck. And so in a desperate attempt for inspiration, she buys a mansion in a small little town, moves out there, and realizes that the house she bought is a giant pile of wood and just falling apart. And so she hires the local contractor and his brothers and family, because it's like a family business, to fix up this place. She ends up falling in love with the whole town. The whole town is kind of having an issue, and she helps set up this whole thing to save the town. And then she falls for Cam, and Cam falls for Hazel, and it's just their story. And it was so sweet, and seeing the two of them, and neither one of them wants to be in a relationship, but they want to sleep together, and she wants to use him for inspiration. And she's literally like, hey, go on a date with me. And he's just like, say what? She's like, oh, I don't want to actually date you. I just need inspiration from my book. So you need to take me out on a fake date so that I can have inspiration. She's like, you need to woo me. So you need to do everything that you would do if you were taking somebody out on a date. And then he does that, and it's a complete disaster in the beginning. And she's just like, forget this, I'm out of here. And she goes to walk out on him. And then he's like, which again, it's kind of what he wanted to have happen. But then he's like, no, wait, no. And suddenly his manhood's, in jeopardy. And so he has to fix the date, and he ends up doing just that. And they're fake dating. They're dating, but they're not dating sort of scenario. And then eventually enough time goes by, and she's just like, I don't think we're fake dating. I think this is actual dating, right? And of course, something towards the end of the book kind of tears them apart a little bit, which is what you get in most romance books. But I liked how it was done because it made sense. It wasn't one of those things where, like, they're just randomly putting a fight scene in there to split the two people up just for drama's sake. What happened in here kind of made sense of how it happened and why it happened, and it kind of, like, you get it, right? You're like, yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You feel bad for them, and you know that they're going to work it out, and you want them to work it out, and you kind of want to bang them on the head, but at the same time, you get why it's happening. So when it's done right. It's really good, and that's what I got from this book. Again, more small town vibes. I do feel like, as of right now, there's nothing in here that's saying that it's like a book one or part of a series. It's acting very much like a standalone. But there are people in this series, in this book, or there's other people in this book that I feel like have been set up that maybe she might think about putting it into a series. I'm thinking that she made it seem very standalone-y, so then that way she doesn't feel pressure to make a second book, or maybe she's not contracted to. Maybe it's just something down the road when she just feels like writing another book or something, she might do that. But there's definitely several people. I mean, Cam's got two brothers. Hazel's got her best friend and agent, who kind of moved there with her, but didn't actually move there. She's staying in an inn, so she hasn't committed to actually living there. But there's definitely some sparks flying between her and one of Cam's brothers, so there's something that might possibly be going on there. And then Cam's also got a sister who has a couple kids who lost her husband in an accident. And I feel like just maybe there might be a story in there with her as well. So I really do hope that she does end up turning this into a series, because I would love to go back into this town, and I would love to get to see these people again and be immersed in the town and in this world. And so I really hope that she does do something like that, because I will be on every single one of those books. No joke. Now onto the last book that I had read in the month of July. And oh my gosh, you guys, I ended it with a bang. Yes, please give me more. I cannot believe that book 2 in this series isn't coming out until March of next year. I want to cry because I want the second book now so bad. God tier, absolutely loved it. Some people may agree, some people might not agree. I don't care. If you haven't read this book, read it. By far, I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, and this by far is my favorite read of the entire year. And that is Direbound. Oh my gosh, you guys. This is Direbound by Sable Sorensen. And this is book 1 in the Wolves of Ruin series. And ooh, I loved this book. This book right here is everything. Everything that Fourth Wing was supposed to be. Everything. Right here. I mean, again, I loved Fourth Wing. 5-star series. Not God tier, though. But, good. This book. Yes. Now, in my opinion, it doesn't remind me too terribly much of the Fourth Wing. A lot of people say this is Fourth Wing only with wolves instead of dragons. I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel like that there was a lot of differences between this book and Fourth Wing. So different. And I don't want to sit there and make people think that this is Fourth Wing, but with wolves instead of dragons, because it's not. It's not. Like, yeah, she ends up bonding with a wolf. She has to take classes to figure out what it means to be a wolf rider, but it's not as death to you all sort of scenario. And like that's pretty much where it ends. That's really, in my opinion, the only real similarities. I don't want to say too much about the MMC because right now, when you're reading this book, you're not sure exactly who the MMC is, and you don't know exactly who she's going to end up with. And I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to spoil it for people who have not read Dire Bound. But I will say the guy who I think the guy who ends up being the main love interest, the MMC, I love him so much. He has made my top 10 book boyfriends, as in the number one. Okay, I'm not going to say the name because, again, there's a couple guys in this book, and I'm going to let you guys figure that out. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but I absolutely love the guy. He is exactly what Xaden should have been. Exactly. So good. I read this book so fast, and by the time I was done, I felt like I had whiplash. And I'm going... You feel sorry for Marianne, and you're rooting for her, and you're hoping that things are going to turn out just for another twist to happen, just to have another turn happen. And so the way this book ended too, just I can't believe I have to wait until March before I can find out what happens. Like, legit. Again, I don't want to say too much because there's so much in this book that I genuinely believe you guys need to go into this book with complete open mind. I don't compare this to Fourth Wing when you are opening the pages, because I feel like you'll be disappointed. So many people who were massive fans of Fourth Wing went in thinking that this was the vibe that they were going to get, and they were disappointed. And I think it was because people are making them think that that's what it is, and it's not. Again, there's hardly no similarities between this book and the Fourth Wing. There really, really isn't. Go in blind, go in expecting it to be way different than the Fourth Wing, okay? And I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It is such a good book. God's here. That concludes my July reads. I was so happy with all of the books that I read. Nothing under 3-star. God tier book. I had a 5-star, a couple 4 stars. They were all really good books, and I had a great time reading them in July, and I cannot wait for the books in August. We have our competition coming in like a week. And then once that's done, I'm just going to sit back and enjoy my summer. I got everything that I need to get done for getting my sons prepared for school, because I homeschool. So my plan is, once this competition is over, is just to sit back and relax and do a lot of reading. So I'm not sure how many books I'm going to get through, but you know what? This is going to be my reading month. So I am planning on just... because it's going to be really my only time to really chill the entire year. Because once September hits, it's going to be getting to the grind of school. And once that happens, I'm genuinely unsure if I'm going to be able to continue reading the 8 to 9 books I've been reading each month. But I'm definitely going to try. But I've got school coming and football season, you guys. And I'm a huge football fan. And I am Green Bay Packers all the way, baby. So I'm rooting for my team this year. Come on, Green Bay. But between football and school, yeah, I don't know. I'm going to do my best to give myself plenty of reading time, but we'll just have to see. So I hope you guys enjoyed my video. Let me know down in the comments if you've read any of these books and what were your thoughts. Were you kind of on the same mind as I was, or differently? All opinions matter. And, we're all different, and we all see things differently. And I'm just genuinely curious what you guys thought. And did you guys have a God tier book in the month of August? If you did, let me know that too. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.